broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
It goes
down in the DM.
Does it really?
It goes down.
Does it really, really, really?
It does. Not from experience, but it does.
It does.
It's going down
in the DM.
It's going down in the studio, ladies and gentlemen. It is
always goes down in the
none other
studio.
than another episode of Catfish.
Yes.
Here at AfterBuzz Studio. Of course, I'm your host, Lem Gonsalves, and you can always find me, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to DM me, you can, and that would be at the Poet Saint.
Down in the DM.
All day, every day. With me, always, is my partners.
Yeah.
Right to the left of me is none other than Be Your Own Dad extraordinaire, Mr. Jimmy V. Bear. What's up?
What's going on, audience? It's your boy Jimmy V. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at Be Your Own Dad. You know, I just realized we've done a few shows together. Now that I think about it, it's like, okay.
That's how we get down.
Nice.
I mean, you know.
We stick together.
We're a team, son. That's how it goes. And of course, holding up the anchor is none other than my boy Nino Llanera.
What's going down, y'all? It's your boy Nino. You can catch me at Nino Llanera on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Send me a DM too.
Because they go down.
Because it goes down.
Because it be popping, right?
Because it be popping.
Yeah.
Because it be popping. Yeah, Snapchat, all of that.
Send me that.
Hey. All right, so another episode, and again, we got another first.
Yeah.
And like I said, you know, we've been talking about this ongoing with this new season. They're doing a lot of new things with this. A lot of new situations are jumping off, which I really like because it is throwing a twist into, you know, what we've been seeing. This is the 5th season. And, you know, I mean, I'll be honest, you know, I was kind of getting tired of the same old, because, you know, you get like, okay, you know, they're getting catfish.
Right.
You know, it's not going to be the person. So it's just a matter of what's the story, you know.
Yeah.
But now we're getting a lot of different things. And in this one, they're literally like, he doesn't want to meet us. We're just going to go steal.
Right.
And we're going to find him. And we're going to go to his house. And we're going to talk to his dad. I mean, it was just like, what? Crazy.
Yeah, I was actually a huge fan of the techniques that they actually tried.
I was
As we
too.
saw,
Right.
they took no, they weren't taking no for an answer,
Oh,
and
no.
they still actually win. So
No, straight gorilla style. Like they was just like, oh, well, do you want to go? Because we want to go.
Right,
So,
yeah.
okay, let's go. You know, which I thought was interesting. And, you know, we'll get into it. But there was a lot of things still, even though it was him, which there wasn't a question about that. That was kind of determined early on that he was who he said he was. But
everything did
his
check out, right.
intentions, you know, what were his intentions? Because when they found out the other girl, but I just still wasn't buying the whole thing with him. Like he's still. I mean, even though, and even to the end. But like I said, we'll get there. We'll get there. Okay. Let's start off by introducing the cast of characters. We have Leah, who is from Rochester, New York.
Sweet girl.
Sweet, beautiful,
Sweet
very
as
pretty.
sugar.
19 years old, in college, and she's talking to Justin from Huntington Beach, right on the corner from us. Right. Nice, beautiful beaches over there. And so she's talking about, you know, same story. You know, she met him. She actually met him on Instagram. And, you know, of course, they started talking, dialogue, you know how it goes. And she said she was talking about wanting to pick the college she was going to go to all the way in here to be close to him. Here. And then she actually came out with her mom and to look at colleges and was supposed to meet up with him. He stood her up, right? And he actually stood her up in Vegas too, because she went to Vegas.
That's right.
Well, it was twice. It was once in LA and once in Vegas.
That's right.
And so in Vegas, you know, stood up again. So she's of course frustrated, which is why she's reaching out to Neve and Max about, you know, thinking like, okay, something's up, right? I thought it was also interesting that she was getting tattoos to kind of connect with him,
To be his type.
Yeah, and I had a problem with that. What did you guys think when you saw that?
That threw me for a loop. I was like, wow, this girl's super, like, you know, she could be influenced really, really, like, quick and fast, because she's 19. You know, she's looks like she's fresh out of high school, and she's just trying to impress somebody. I'm kind of sad that her mom, you know, like, although her mom knows about everything that's going on, that her mom was somewhat condoning the situation was like, okay, well, let's go to California because you want to check out this boy we've never met before.
It would seem like her only stipulation was you just got to be in school.
Right.
You just got to be in
It's
school.
just scary because at this day and age and at this time, like, anything could be, behind that computer screen or behind that Instagram. You don't know who it is.
Well,
I'll be super concerned. I'll be just super concerned.
Yeah, I mean, to the defense though, I want to say she did say as long as she stays in school, but she did say like if it was to go down, it sounded like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounded like I'd want to have a conversation with him. So it wasn't like she was just like, okay, you like him, go be with him.
Right.
Like it wasn't a situation like it sounded like she would meet him and all this kind of stuff. There would be some kind of stipulations. I just had an issue. It seemed like, and even Max called her out later on, like she's a pushover. She was like, oh, but she was.
Well, when you actually hear her story, she says, when I was younger, I wasn't all that attractive, so I never did get that attention. So as she's growing older, she's growing into who she actually is. So she's still not sure exactly how to approach a relationship, so she's trying to do everything just to make sure the guy is still into her.
And that's just what we were talking about last week. Remember, where we were saying there's always an issue with somebody, either one of them. Although I feel like there was an issue with Justin as well too, but we didn't really get to dive into that as much as we dove into her insecurities. Right. Because there had to be still a situation besides what he said for why he did what he did.
Well, like I said, I'm gonna put it out there. I mean, and we can just talk about it now. I just didn't believe everything he was saying.
Me either.
And I don't think Neve and Max did either, because it was like he had an excuse for everything. And to me, it makes sense because, and I think that's why Max kind of called her out and said, hey, she's a pushover, because he has game. Like, I think he's was gaming.
Straight player.
Right, exactly. Yes. He was talking up to her again and kind of, found out what she was like. Oh, okay, I can kind of tell her whatever and she's going to be cool with it.
Right.
And then when he, but didn't want to commit. And we did find out that the first time when she did come out of California, he was in a relationship, which is why he didn't go meet her up that time. He did say the second time that he legitimately had car issues. But my thing is, even when he's talking to her, one-on-one, and it was like he still was gaming her up, like, oh yeah, so we're gonna get married, right? We're gonna get a wedding, right? And you good? You good? Because I'm good. I mean, I want to see what's up. Well, she's like, oh well, and I kind of want to. Well, we're good. It's me. I mean, it's like, come on, man. Like, you got to give. And she kept telling. I do like that she was saying, you got to give me more. You got to give me more. But I could see how the reason why he kept her around for so long is his mouthpiece.
Right.
He was really gaming her up, and that's how I was able to keep her. Because it wasn't like, you see some of these people, you're like, oh, okay, they have some internal issues or whatever, and that person is helping them through something, which is why there's stagnation. She's a pretty girl.
Right.
I'm sure there's guys that are hauling at her where she lives.
Oh, she can get one super quick.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
So I think his mouthpiece is what was talking. And yeah, he's an attractive guy or whatever, but I think he was gaming her up, and I think that was causing her to stay around or kind of, make that connection as long as it went.
He gave
Absolutely,
up Neve too.
100% agree.
I'm telling you,
he gave up Neve too.
He was a smooth talker. He was a smooth talker, and the fact that he didn't. I mean, it's just. But anyway, I mean, I didn't believe, but we'll get there and talk about it more. But yeah, I had an issue with the whole tattoo situation. I'm like, because I could just see her, you being young and you're doing it to kind of impress him,
right?
Like, that's something you can regret later. Like, what did I do this for? But you live and you learn. And then it was interesting because they actually went to Instagram and to kind of show him Instagram. Let's see what he looks like when they're talking with her one-on-one, and he blocked her.
Yeah.
He blocked her. And it was like she had just talked, I was on the Instagram just shortly before. So he knew what was up, obviously. And when we get to where they actually call him, we find out that he doesn't want to be on the show, and which is why he was refusing. And it wasn't, and this is why, again, and I think one of the only, we're all over the place, but that's fine. It's fine. I think the only reason why, the only truthful thing I should say is that I think that he said when they were talking to him on the beach is he said he sees how people are portrayed on the show, which is why he doesn't want to be on.
I think he knew exactly what he was doing, and the show was gonna bring to light that he is a player.
Right, but what I'm saying is I think he wanted to avoid that.
Exactly.
Which is why it wasn't like because a lot of times people don't want to be in the show because they're not who they are. Right. They're like, there's resistance because, I don't want to meet her. They've been faking the funk because they're not the real person. Right. He obviously is the real person, so why would you not want to meet her? You don't want to meet her because you're seeing other people.
Exactly.
You know, and that's really the real what's going on.
And this is why I said when we were off camera, I felt like this episode almost turned into an episode of Cheaters, just because Neve and Max were feeling some type of way because they felt bad for her, you know, for Leah and what she was going through and how you know how she was influenced by this dude and how he was playing her basically, right? And they wanted to get it out. It almost was like his new show Suspect. Like this could have been an episode on Suspect almost. You know what I mean? Because they try to find out why this person is lying, why this person, what this person's doing behind your back, type situation. But it was almost like a crossover kind of episode. But I felt like it could have got to that. I also was thinking, and we'll probably get to this later, that it might not be him, and it could be when her dad popped out later on. I was like, oh, this could be a whole different.
That'd have been weird.
That'd have been a flip right there.
That would have been crazy.
I would have still been happy with that flip too, because I'm just like, this episode is like, it's making me happy. Like it's different.
Well, I feel like there was an episode that was like that. There was an episode where it was a parent or something like that. Like it wasn't exactly like the parent talking to her. It was a parent that was actually using their son.
I remember that
like
from last season.
I think it was a parent using their son.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was talking. Yeah, using the son's profile.
To get back with the mother. Yeah.
Exactly. It was something along those lines. Okay. When he came out, I didn't think. I actually thought what it was. I thought it was just his dad.
Okay.
Because the way he, I mean, it wasn't anything confrontational. You know, he came, you know, he went to the door, he talked, he's like, you know, I'm looking for Justin, and he's like, oh, I'm Joe, you know, and he's like, oh, you're from Catfish? Oh, is she here? I want to meet her. You know, because usually if it was somebody that wasn't related or somebody that was trying to maybe hide from him or whatever, he'd be like, oh, okay, well, he's not here, bye, you know, type thing. I'm hiding for him or whatever. But the fact that he wanted, I was like, oh, that's something a dad would do. But in the same token, he was like, yeah, he's never really mentioned you, so
exactly. I haven't heard anything about
I'm not to get on them, which again further to me, and his excuses were just so like I was kind of upset. I was kind of upset because I'm like, this dude, he's really, and when they talk to the girl, let's get into that. Let's get into the girl. The other girl wrote it, Rita. So they check a number, right?
Jamie. Jamie, Rita's his mom.
Oh, sorry.
We're speaking about the Facebook girl.
Right, exactly. So they check. He has a Facebook. They look to be checking out. So they find someone he's working out. Who was the person that he was flirting with? The other person.
He was flirting with Jamie, who basically on his profile picture said, "You look
Jamie,
good" or something,
yes.
right?
Right.
And he's like,
exactly.
"Thank you." Exactly. Smiley face.
Exactly.
It was a comment.
Right.
That was a comment.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Well, it was. Sorry, Rita was the person that the number was under.
And that's his
my
mom.
bad. Right.
Yeah, right.
So I want to get to Jamie. So Jamie was the person that when they checked, because they checked all social media handles to check to see if it was him. They went on Facebook because she had never went on that. They found out he had other people. So they find this person named Jamie, and they end up contacting her because there was a little bit of flirting, which to me it was just like I don't start flirting.
Right.
I mean, it was just kind of some comments.
It was
people
super
say all the
PC.
time. Yeah.
Nothing
So I'm like,
to, you know.
I mean, yeah.
Jump at.
Right, exactly.
But as we saw, once they actually spoke with her, then it was a whole different
situation. Which
situation.
I can see why they did. You know?
Exactly, yeah.
And who knows? They could have talked to other people, but this is the one that turned out to be something that they get from.
Very true.
So then they do contact her, and they basically start talking to her, and it sounds like, you know, they're in a relationship too. Yeah. And it's the same scenario. They met on Instagram, and then, you know, she's talking to him and saying this, that, and the other, talking about moving to Cal, you know, or he was going to move there. Like all these kind of things were going on. So it was this tame type situation. And when they mentioned about Leah,
she felt some type of way.
Exactly. She's like, oh, that's disheartening.
Wait, what?
Yeah, she felt like she got punched.
Exactly. Punch in the gut.
Right.
Punch in the gut.
Which is completely understandable, because if you guys were speaking with a girl and then you find out she's speaking with another guy, how would
you feel some type of way too?
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
So.
Exactly.
I got it.
And then we have his friend Todd. Who they also talked to. Todd.
Can I put my little 2 cents about Todd?
Todd snitched him out hardcore.
All right.
Oh, I know exactly where he is.
I like Todd.
Okay,
I like Todd.
Todd's a really nice, honest guy. It looks like he's like really good friends with Justin. But dang,
you can find him in between 13 and 15.
Right, no problem with just putting the dude's business out there. Like I know he doesn't want to be contacted, but you know what? He's over here. Right. I wonder how Justin felt about Todd in that situation.
Well, this is what I think. How it went down. I think that Todd mentioned that he was there because I'm sure that they discussed it because he knew that Todd had talked to them, right?
Right, that's right.
Right? So I know that Todd discussed it. I'm not saying that he probably liked the fact that he had him come out, but I'm sure that when they were hanging out, they discussed it. And then when he happens to call him, he's like, hey, I know where he's at. He's over here. Because if you look at when they come to Justin, they have to then approach him and mic him and all this kind of stuff. Has to happen behind the scenes. And he has to be willing, like, you know, to meet.
Right.
And so the whole thing is, I think it was more or less, I think he didn't, it wasn't a problem of meeting her. I think he just, again, I do believe, again, the only thing I agree with is he didn't want to do it on the show because he didn't want to put his business out there. Because if you're a player,
you don't want to be known as a player.
Be exposed.
That's right.
And so when and it was funny because
it's code 101, people.
Right. And it was funny when they were talking to him and they were like, yo, so are you single right now? He's like, yeah, I'm single. I'm talking to nobody else. Right. And so they're like, well, you know, we watch the show. And you watch the show, and you know we do some digging.
Right.
And so then they mention Jamie, and then she's like, yeah, and she seemed like she was Jamie. Oh, that's my homie.
Super quick.
Yeah, that's my homie.
Super quick with
that's my homie. And she may have got it twisted. And I'm like, nah, dude, if you've been talking, because she made it seem like they've been talking, what was it, like a year?
2 years, 3 years?
It was a lengthy amount of time. Yeah. It was a lengthy amount of time. So my thing is, you already show that you meet these girls on Instagram. You met her on Instagram. I don't think she's lying, right? What she have to lie about?
Right.
So that's your MO, obviously, and that's just two that we know of. Who knows if there's other girls out there? We already know that you were in a relationship when you first were talking to our friend here, Leah. So you're not the good guy. So don't act like, oh yeah, she's just my homegirl. Like, I really believe he was talking to her and giving her the same business.
Oh yeah.
And what I think is the fact that, you know, Leah was the one that contacted the show first. And, you know, of course, you know, and like we learned from our casting director friend last season, you know, now when you meet somebody, you have the means to now go out there and pursue and fly out there and all this stuff, whereas you may not be able to do that on your own.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So, and then it also kind of like is a wake-up call because it's like, okay, they got me. I'm not going to get out of this. This person's not going to talk to me anymore if I don't meet them, so I got to.
Right.
And I think with him is, you know, he knew he was him, but I think he just didn't want to get exposed on the show.
But if they didn't ever do it, I don't think he'd ever...
No, not at all.
He's staying in the dark.
No, not at all. Because, again, I really think he was a player dude.
Right, exactly.
I think he was playing these women, and I think it was just a way for him to do it. And like I said, it just doesn't... If he was really... Like, the fact that she was out there, and she came to where he lives, and he's with somebody. If it would, to me, it was like, I don't care about how you feel. Like, it's almost like, you know, when you become face to face, it's like it's easier to deal with things behind the screen, right? Course, yeah. You know, you got like, you know, people side they mad, they talk, you know, talking mess, right? Behind on the keyboard, and then you see them face to face, like, oh, hi, you know, quiet, right? And I think it's easy to run that game over the phone. It's easy to run that game. But when somebody's in person, it's a different situation. Right. And the fact that he had a girlfriend that he was trying to hide in the first place made it more so the fact like, nah, I'm good. You know, let me make an excuse. Right. Let me not answer my phone or whatever. Yeah. And then let me smooth it over when you get back on that screen.
Almost definitely.
Whatever game he's got, it is A1. Because when they went to actually confront him, at first she was hesitant. And then they kind of split them up to talk. After they were talking, Neve came back to check. She was like, oh, I'm down with whatever he's doing. So, I mean...
No, I mean he has game, but then also you're dealing with a woman who is a bit of a pushover.
Right. Yes. And he's 24, right? I think they said that he was 24 and she's 19, so he definitely has a couple more years on her. And
to me, she seemed like a kind of young, naive 19.
Yeah, because so she's a rookie, he's a vet. Is that what you're trying to say? Okay.
And the thing is, too, on top of that, hearing a little bit of her backstory, you know, she was talking about not being attractive, being kind of nerdy and stuff like that. And it's like a lot of times when people don't have that attention growing up, and all of a sudden she comes and they bloom, and they're like, you know, but not only that, what I'm saying is it's like they don't know how to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like here he is giving this attention miles away, but he's talking that smooth game. So it's like a lot of stuff you end up looking over because you're so used to not getting what you want.
Right.
Now here's a handsome man that you like and you think is great, and he's got the tattoos and everything that you're looking for. So you overlook the stuff. You know, you overlook and you're like, oh, okay, well, he still likes me, or oh, you know, because no guy's ever talked to you like that.
That's right.
You know,
it's like, if you remember episodes of like Jenny Jones or like Sally Jesse Raphael, where it was like from geek to chic,
right?
And these girls were super like they were ugly ducklings when they were younger, you know what I mean? And they were beautiful in their own way when they were younger.
Sure,
yeah, they bloomed. They bloomed.
Way to put it.
Right, super PC. Right. They bloomed into like an amazingly hot like woman. You know what I mean? And they come out all young and screaming like, you can't have this now because blah blah blah. You know what I mean? And her, it's almost like what she's doing, except in a more reserved way. You know what I mean? She has attention now, like you said, and she wants to keep it, so she'll do anything to basically keep it that way, whether it be modifying her body, maybe changing her hair color, whatever it may be. You know what I mean?
Which in reality she doesn't have to do. That's the thing. She does not have to do that. She does not have to do that. But in her mind, she's still in that mode of, you know, the ugly duckling syndrome, where she maybe had to that. You know, it was hard. No guy was hollering at her.
Right.
Yeah. So in order to get people, you had to do other things. So now she doesn't have to do it, but she's still doing it because now here's somebody that is giving her that attention. You know, and she feels as, you know, somebody she wants to be with.
Right.
But you know, 19, that's super young.
Super young.
Which
super
means
young.
they started talking. She must have started to talk with him at 17. 'Cause they were talking for 2.5 years.
Oh, that's right.
Now, from 17 to 19, that's a difficult age, you know? You're still trying to figure out things. So I'm sure just having somebody there to actually talk to is big, and you probably don't want that person to go anywhere. So I can understand why, no matter whatever he said, she was like,
I want to
okay,
keep
It's that crutch that she wants.
Yeah.
Right. So, going back to when they first, you know, of course, talked to him, I thought it was interesting too, because it was like there wasn't any. It appeared initially, because normally it's like the person that is the catfisher is very awkward and hesitant and a little like, hey, you got, you know, all the cameras, you know, everything's going on, they're being exposed now. And it was funny because here he's on the beach, and then they roll up, they're like, hi, and he's like, hey, and he jumps up and he hugs her like he saw her yesterday, you know, or whatever.
Todd prepped him. So maybe this is
whatever they did, he was ready.
Todd prepped. And you know what? He just came from surfing. The dude had his hair all perfectly gel,
perfectly coiffed.
Like a model.
Exactly. Whatever gel you use, bro, can you let me know?
Well, the thing is, he knew he was going to be on TV.
Exactly.
I mean, let's keep it real. Like, he already knew what was up. He knew about the show. He knew the game. So his thing is, that's why I think it was a front.
Right.
Because I think he had his answers prepared. And I think it threw him for a loop when they mentioned the girl Jamie.
Right.
I don't think he didn't think they found that out, or whatever the case is. So, because every question they asked him, well, what about this? Oh, yeah, this is the answer. Oh, well, what about you, Vic? Oh, my car was really messed up. Like, that was a real thing, you know? Yeah, I had a girlfriend, but, you know, I've learned the error of my ways, you know? Oh, what about when? Oh, yeah, we'll see. You know, it's like a question, everything. So then when they said the Jamie, that threw him up, and you notice he was thinking, he's like, oh, yeah, that's my girl, you know?
Once again, he played everything off so good. I really think he was a bad guy, but when it came to on TV, he played everything good, so it makes it seem as if he's a good guy, but trust me, watch him.
I'm on your side though. I feel like he's that like that old lady that's trying to give you that apple.
Sure.
Once you get that apple from her, she's gonna turn into a witch.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
Like,
there you go.
It's no. There's smoke and mirrors. That was definitely you know, in his favor at that point. Maybe Todd was his like little lawyer. You know what I mean? Like he was like Todd was like, well, you know, he's gonna be here and here at this time. You know, give me that 5 minutes so I need to prep him on the questions. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it was like, okay, take for instance the answer he gave when asked about the race. He's like, yeah, so we talked to your parents. You know, talked to your dad, and your dad said you never mentioned. Oh, well, you know. It's like, you know, they got that old school mentality and, you know, dating somebody. I'm like, no, come on. And then he said, your friends don't know. Like, oh, well, yeah, you know, I don't want them to, because they have relationships that are real, that are local. And,
I'm like, dude,
he's keeping everything on the low.
You mean to tell me in this day and age that everybody's internet dating, everybody, I mean, it's just commonplace now. Everybody's on social media. That somebody, you know what I'm saying? Somebody is going to be your friends who are the same age as you are going to have an issue with you dating somebody, a hot girl, online. that you met on Instagram.
Okay, Tinder, come on. You know what I mean? Like,
this guy sounds like a politician.
Oh, I mean,
definitely could be.
A politician with good hair.
If anything, you would think that you're being the one getting catfished if she's really that good looking.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Good point.
Like, you'd be like, oh man, this is probably too good to be true because that's probably not her real picture or anything. So this guy's definitely a player.
I mean, it just everything was screaming that. It just I did not believe any of his answers, and even Max felt it. They're like, "Yo, is this dude is trying to game us?
Right.
This dude is trying to game us." And when he said, his whole thing was like, "Well, I don't want to, I don't want to answer any more questions." He like really got politician. I don't want to answer more questions right now. I'd like to take her to the side and I want to talk to her one on one, and then I'll feel better. It's like, okay. So then they go off and they start talking, and then his whole thing is the first thing he says, "Well, what we show,
we're still getting married.
We're still getting married, right? Of course, trying to get on a good side, like we're getting married." Like she's like, "What?" And then the whole thing is him just like, "Yeah, so she's like, you got to do better." Well, you're here, and I'm ready to do that. We're ready to start this relationship. Let's go. Like everything was like go. But how could you couldn't say that 2 days ago?
He couldn't.
Why did you block her Instagram?
Right.
That's what I would ask. Like, well, why did you block me on Instagram? Like, what was the reason for that? If you want to be with me, you're talking about getting married, but you blocked me on Instagram.
Right.
Like all that stuff, nothing added up to what he was saying, and I really felt bad for her, only because I'm like, she's getting played, but she's, either she just doesn't see it or wants to look away from it or whatever the case is. She's a little bit of a pushover, kind of naive, whatever the situation is, I think she's getting played, and I feel bad because it's going to turn bad in the end. When it came down to the 2 months later, I was surprised.
Very surprised.
I was very surprised.
How about now,
come on.
I was very. How about now? Yeah.
Let them know.
Yeah. So we get to the point, and when Matt. Oh, before we get to that, what do you think about the conversation with him and Neve? What do you think? How that conversation? What we saw
on the beach?
On the beach,
he was playing Neve.
Like,
he was sweet talking the situation. Was like, no, I know I'm going to do better, and I'm going to try to make this work out. Exactly what Neve wanted to hear. That's why when he came back to Max was like, did he play you too?
Right.
Yeah. Because you seem like you're agreeing with the situation. You know what I mean? Like he went from like very reserved about the situation and not wanting her to get hurt anymore.
Sure.
To speaking to him for like a couple minutes from what we saw on camera, and he was like, "Well, maybe he's a different person." You know what I mean? He was giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Got him.
Right. Well, too quickly.
Right. Another point about that, and I think why probably we didn't see, because normally we see like they meet up with the person and then they kind of like, because it usually is awkward and very tense and like a whole situation because they're not the person.
Right.
And so, the person, the catfish is mad. So they take a break. They usually come back the next day.
Right.
They get the backstory, whatever. It was like there was no need for that because he was the person number one, he said he was, and he was like, let's get it cracking.
Right.
But the thing with that is, and I think on Neve's point is, I think genuinely they want it to work out. Like the show's not there to be like, okay, how many times can we show somebody getting their heart broken? I don't think that's the goal. That's what typically happens, and they're there to expose it and get the story and make a show.
Of course.
But I think the fact that he was who he said he was, and he was saying, "I'm willing to let's see what's going on." I think Neve was like, "Well, shoot, okay, well that's a great ending,
right?"
Type thing, And it was easy to be like, "Well, if you're down and she says she's cool with it and wants to go forward, then let's make it happen. Like, go ahead and do it." So we can actually have a happy ending to an episode.
Yeah.
So going to the 2 months later, I don't know about you, but I thought I was gonna see, oh yeah, he's dumped me, or oh he's, that's. I mean, what did you guys think?
Go ahead, go ahead, Jimmy.
Once again, my man knows how to play his cards. He's got her moving out across the country without being in a relationship.
Right.
I mean, what else is it? This is the perfect player's way to get a girl.
I can do it,
because there's nothing there, but she's gonna be there if you know what I mean.
It's a mess. She said, like, oh, he's gonna be my boyfriend soon.
So,
she was like,
yeah.
And like, in my head, I'm pretty sure like Neve and Max were just like, so this hasn't happened yet, or like you're moving out there already because what? And this is another reason why I'm like, oh, so you're like, when is college? When does college start? When did you film this?
Right.
When is it happen? Have you chose your school yet? Like, and this is another reason why I brought up like her mom and and condoning the situation, just because like if this was my daughter, like I would have more than a conversation with him. I would be like, you need to plan school first. Where and what school? You're not going to move all the way across the country to go to like a community college at that point, you know what I mean? Right. Unless you have to, you know what I mean? Like her, she's in community college right now, so she's supposed to be transferring out. You know what I mean? It's a different story. Like if you're going out here to pursue a dream or whatnot, or and LA is where you need to be to pursue that dream.
Sure.
And you move to school out here, and it's like that situation. But she's going out for a boy.
A boy. Right.
You know what I mean? Not just because school. I'm pretty sure she could find a school out there for her. In Rochester, New York, Midwest, wherever, you know what I mean? But she chose California just for this boy.
She was so happy too.
Yeah, I think. Okay, so this is the thing. We mentioned earlier
Focus
about her
on
mom.
Your studies, baby girl.
Right. Yes. We mentioned earlier about the mom and what the mom said. Also, the friend that was there as well. And the mom, again, she was like, "Yo, I just want to make sure she stays in school." Now, I don't believe her in one moment. Yes. I think we can all agree that she's moving out mainly for him. She's developing or whatever. The fact that he's not her boyfriend yet and she's still moving out there is problematic.
Horribly problematic.
Even the fact that she is going to school, because I know her mom's not letting her go out there and not be in school. So she's definitely going to school out there. What kind of school, whatever. I mean, as far as college, community college, university, whatever. But the reason why she's picking to go out there is obviously because for him.
Exactly.
So that being said, the fact that he's not her boyfriend and she's like, I want, soon or whatever. Again, I think it's all game. Now, did you see when they interviewed him and they were like, yeah, she's moving out there. Like, how do you feel? I was like, ooh, I feel great.
Right.
You
guys are going to be there.
I'm happy.
Yeah. And then he bring the wedding up again. So I
can't.
It's I don't know.
I can't.
The bottom line is, it's going to be a live and learn situation for her. If she's willing to do that after going through the whole show, seeing everything, because at this point now she's seen the show, what have you, all the things that he said, the things that they found, all of these different things. She's got to know what's up, right? So the fact that she's still planning on it, and whenever 2 months later was, as relation to now, I don't know. So it'd be interesting now, like if they have some type of reunion show
or something.
Because sometimes they'll have reunions and they'll bring some of them back, after the season is over, to see if she actually moved out and to see if they continue. Because I just believe, knowing what we've seen of him, seeing the smooth talking player ways, I see her going out there, him being with her for a minute and then getting tired of her or whatever the case, and then moving on to somebody else, and then she's just out there.
Right.
That's what I see. I wish that, I don't want that.
You're hoping for the best.
Hope for the best, because she seems like a nice girl.
Right.
And if that's what she wants to be with, and they can work out, then great. Right. But at the end of the day, just from what we saw of him, it was just like,
let's all give one quick relationship tip to our viewers out there, just based on the situation here, on what you would do. So I will start it off. If you're gonna fly 3,000 miles across the country, make sure there's something established there. Make sure you have some type of title. Fellas out there, I'm sorry, I'm snitching, my fault. But ladies, you got to know, you've got to get something in place to secure that if you make this trip, it's going to actually be worth it.
Right. I think my biggest thing is, if you're going to do something that drastic, you got to do it for yourself and not for anybody else.
That's big too.
And you got to know that there's going to be a positive outcome to the end, or even if or dream of a positive outcome that comes to the end. But it got to be for you. It can't be for somebody else at this moment, especially if you're 19.
Very young.
You're young. There's a lot more time to find your true love. It'll come when it comes, and you'll know when it comes, and it'll be a lot more real.
My tip is, do not get tattoos for someone that you're trying to impress.
Right.
Because they're permanent.
Amen.
My advice would be that not every guy who takes advantage of your goodness and kindness, not every guy is going to do that. So, like, this guy, when it happens, because it's going to happen, he realizes how big of a bad guy he really is, as you said, Jimmy V. She's going to be closed off to every guy from now on. She's going to be like, I've been hurt and tainted, and I don't want to go through that again.
Right.
Just know we're not all like that.
Right.
That's a good one, James.
Amen.
Thank you.
That's true.
Thank you, James.
Shout out to the engineer.
Shout out to our engineer. That is our pseudo-host. Yes. He is our fourth host of this show. Always has good chime in. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, we hope for the best. It'll be interesting to see how it turns out. Like I said,
I'm gonna peep it on my Instagram and social media.
Yeah, next
week.
Okay,
I'm gonna get you.
Let's get a report, a recap.
Update, you know what I mean?
That'd be cool.
So, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. But all intents and purposes, if we look at it for the face value, it was a success.
Good episode.
Right. He was who he said he was, and after the 2 months, they're almost together. Right. It just sounds so crazy. Like
soon. She will have him soon. Maybe in the next 6 months.
When he moves out here, when I move out there, I think that's when it's gonna happen.
Right.
He's gonna ask me to be his girlfriend. Like what?
No. Sounds like she has a boyfriend on layaway.
Right. I know, right? Exactly.
That's a good one.
And doesn't have the money to pay for it.
Exactly.
Get it out.
Exactly.
I don't know. It's just a weird situation. But we'll see what happens.
Oh, catfish.
Yeah. Catfish.
Have you guys done anything to impress a female? Like, for example, she's doing the whole tattoo thing. Was there anything that you did that's out of your character?
Well, first of all, since I'm so old, as we discussed last
snitched on himself
week,
this episode. I snitched last episode.
No. I'm just recapping last episode when you put me out on blast. But that's cool. It's all good. I'll just say this one thing. And I'm probably gonna date myself, of course, because again I'm old. But I used to go skating. And then they had dedications for at the skating rink.
Yeah.
And you could dedicate a song for 10 cents to someone.
10 cents. This is in the Bay, wasn't it?
This is what?
This is in the Bay, wasn't it?
No, this is in Sacramento.
Okay, NorCal.
Yeah, Sacramento. So I had a crush on this girl, and it was actually her birthday. So I was there for the birthday party, right? So the big star, because this is when light skin dudes was in, right? This is when light skin dudes was in, right? So you had El DeBarge, you had Christopher Williams, Albie Shore. So Albie Shore was on top. And people said when I was younger that I looked like Albie Shore.
Okay.
Right? And so that was a big compliment, right? So I'm like, okay, I will take that in. So Albie Shore, if you don't know or not, had a unibrow. So what I did was
you did not, Lem.
Did you grow yourself? Finish the story. Let's hear it.
Wait. So I went to I said I was going to dedicate a song to her. It was New Edition, Can You Stand the Rain? New Edition, Can You Stand the Rain? Yeah. I went in the bathroom. I didn't get a black pen though. I got a blue pen because I couldn't find a black one. So I got a blue pen and I scribbled on a unibrow. And then
but it was gonna be black in the dark?
No, I just I don't have a black pen, so I'm gonna use a blue one.
Oh no.
So I used a blue pen, and then I had him dedicate Can You Stand the Rain to this girl from Albie Shore. And then when the song came on, I busted in the party room and was like, yeah.
He was feeling himself.
Oh my gosh. And everybody laughed at me. It was just she laughed at me. It was backfired. Yeah. Big time.
It wasn't that's a sweet laugh.
No. This is you look crazy.
You playing yourself.
Right, exactly. So it did not work at all. I got laughed at, and so word to the wise, don't use blue pen when you paint unibrows on your face.
Or just don't paint unibrows.
Yeah.
Unibrows, right.
See, I can't. No, I don't want to. I don't have that story to come up with that.
I can't top that.
That's like me. What? I cut my hair a different way. You know what I mean?
I got a lot of stories. That's just one of them. Because again, I'm so old, so I've been on the earth a lot longer, and so there's just so many other things. Wow. But anyway, shout out to you, it happens. But it's all good.
Lev actually had a court women back before there was Instagram.
Court women.
What are we, medieval times?
I love it.
Yes, we had to, open the door. I had to show up in dates with suits and ties and, flowers.
We're still be doing that sometimes.
It don't happen. Send them a text. We going out.
Clean.
Come on
like
now.
To get nice,
When's the last time you wore a tie on a date?
Never.
Exactly.
But I would like to, though.
You would like to one day.
It depends on where we are going to. Because I'm not going to have a tie and we're going to Pizza Hut, Well,
why would you be taking a date to Pizza Hut?
What's wrong with Pizza Hut? Oh, Oh, Pizza Hut's too good now?
I think for a girl to date.
Hey, I'm struggling out here, okay?
I'm in these streets, son.
In these streets.
We trying to, you know.
I'll be there in 10 years.
Perfect example of somebody who moved out here all the way from Boston to come out here and do his dream and live his dream. And go to school and live his dream.
No.
He did it for himself.
Yes. Yes, exactly. It says a lot for that.
Blogspot.com, be your own dad.
Oh, yeah, which you can learn all about at beyourowndad.blogspot.com.
There you go. Got you in the plug. You see that?
That's hilarious.
That's
hilarious. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's our show. We want to thank you, of course, for tuning in. If you want to comment on our YouTube for this episode, you can do so and talk about, let us know what you think about your relationship advice and about this episode, particularly how you feel about, our man that was on there, Justin. If you think he was cool, if you think he was throwing game, what do you think? And if you want to give, your own personal situation, if you also painted unibrows to impress someone, feel free to share.
Spit out this water right now.
This is how it goes down. Of course, I'm your host, Lem Gonsalves, aka I'll Be Sure. You can find me on social media at The Poet Say all day, every day. Jimmy, where they find you at, man?
Yes, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Be Your Own Dad. Make sure you check out the blog, BeYourOwnDad.blogspot. And much like Lem just said, if you have an interesting story, because I definitely want to hear your story. And would you travel across the country after talking to a person for 2.5 years without being in a relationship? Let us know.
That's crazy. I wouldn't. Anyways, once again, guys, it's your boy Nino. You can catch me at Nino Llanera on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Snapchat as well, too. Once again, you can go down in my DMs. I might not answer, but if I do, you're lucky.
Oh, hey, lucky. Going down in the DMs.
Catch you next week.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's our show. We'll see you next week.
Bye, y'all.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.